Hello guys. So today we're gonna do my new September election prediction because I haven't done one since last month on August 12th. So I guess it's time to update you guys with the latest polls. Of course, don't really trust the polls. This is even though this is gonna be a polling map, always please don't trust everything up polls. Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. Okay. So we got all the battleground states here that we're gonna fill in based on the recentest polls and the latest and the 2020 election results to base the map off and stuff like that. So we're gonna start from our least battleground state to our most battleground state. I think that's how I'll call it. So we're gonna start with Minnesota. So Minnesota, as of the moment, Minnesota is a pretty democratic state. It looks like Trump did get a little boost there. It's still a likely margin, and Minnesota voted for Biden in 2020. 52% to 45%, and Minnesota voted blue on every single election ever since 1972. That was the last time Minnesota voted red. Even on the Reagan landslide, Minnesota still went blue by 0.18%. So yeah, Minnesota is Tim Walz's birth state or home state. That's gonna give Harris a boost there with Tim Walz. So yeah. Then we got New Hampshire. Let's do New Hampshire next. New Hampshire voted for Biden in 2020 by more than 7 points. So, yeah. And the latest polls in New Hampshire, let's see. It shows Harris up there by 7. That's also a likely margin. The latest polls put it by 5. That's also likely. And in 2020, voted 7+. And even in the 2016 election with Clinton, New Hampshire still holding on in the Democratic column by less than 1%. And New Hampshire hasn't voted Republican ever since 2000. So yeah, we're gonna put New Hampshire as a likely state. Might become lean, but as of the moment, it's likely. Now we got Texas. So Texas next. Texas it's known for being a pretty Republican state, and most of the South is pretty Democrat. But yeah, Trump won in the state for more than 5 points, 5.6 I think, and Texas hasn't voted blue in an election ever since 1976. That's a pretty long time. Texas is actually shifting to the left a little. If you see, in the past 8 years, Texas has shifted 10 points to the left. So yeah, we gotta keep that in mind. But in the moment, if Texas will become blue, it will probably become blue in about the 2040s. So we're gonna place Texas in the likely Republican column. Now we got West Virginia. So Virginia is known for being a Democrat state, and it used to be a reliably Republican state that voted Republican in almost every election. And it used to be actually sometimes even safe red in some elections. But in 2008, Obama flipped the state and it has voted Democrat in the 4 elections in a row. And I don't think this election's going to change that. Let's check the latest poll for Virginia real quick. Yeah, Virginia 3-3-3. And Virginia wasn't actually looking pretty good with Biden. Virginia would have probably went Republican if Biden stayed in the race. Now, many of these polls do put Trump winning, so we're going to place Virginia narrowly being in the Democratic column as a lean state, because I think Harris is going to win there by about 2 to 3 points. Now we got, let's do Florida. So Florida used to be used to be Democratic in 2 presidential elections in a row, and Florida was in the polls was also supposed to be a Democrat in Hillary Clinton and Biden, but they didn't because they underestimated Trump, which is something that we gotta keep in mind. A lot of polls underestimate Trump, so yeah. I don't think it's gonna happen this time around because like in the 2022 one, the Democrats were underestimated. So maybe that will help. And also, it's only for these 2 elections. In almost every single other election, the Democrats were underestimated. So, yeah. But Florida has now changed from a Democrat state to a reliable Republican state. And the Sunshine State, I do think it will go to the Republicans by at least 5 points. Might be a lean margin, but I'm gonna put it as likely in the moment. Now let's do North Carolina next. Actually, no, let's do the second. Yeah, let's do North Carolina. Alright, so North Carolina, it's a pretty Republican state, and I don't think this will change it. It hasn't voted Democratic ever since 2008 Obama, and it was actually a surprise because it was lost by 1 point, and many people weren't expecting that. Many people weren't expecting that. And North Carolina has voted lean by more than 1 in 3 of the elections in a row. And I think it will stay like that. North Carolina actually used to be a pretty, in the past couple weeks, North Carolina had Harris up there by the polls a little. Let me check. North Carolina. Yeah, but it looks like, yeah, right here, like, Harris was actually winning in the state by, like, more than, 0.4. But Trump eventually passed there again, and now he's holding a steady lead. As you can see, the polls actually put Harris up until just recently, where Trump gained the lead again. And I do think North Carolina, Trump is going to win there by at least 1 point. Now we got the true battlegrounds. These are the states that are truly the most competitive ones. Let's start with the Rust Belt. Yeah, let's do the Rust Belt. So we're gonna start with Wisconsin. Wisconsin is a pretty right state for many elections in a row. And I mean, it's not in a row. It's a pretty reliable Democratic state now. It's part of the Blue Wall, which Trump was able to conquer in 2016. The name is Blue Wall because they have voted blue in every election ever since 1988 or 1984, depending on which members you count. So, Wisconsin is probably going to be very comparable to Pennsylvania. Probably one of the most competitive states, or maybe the most competitive state. But I do think Harris has a slight advantage in the polls right now. Yeah, 3.2. Actually, that's a pretty healthy lead. Though the polls very recently do put Trump up. But yeah, it looks like Harris is still winning by a lot. And also, this poll that puts Trump winning is by a right-leaning research company. And this one, and the one that puts Trump +1 is from The Hill. And I think The Hill put Wisconsin as Harris up there. Yeah, I don't know what they mean. Harris is up in The Hill by 3.4. So I do think Wisconsin will be. Of course, the polls are the only place that's putting Wisconsin having Harris a very healthy lead, which I severely disagree. I think Wisconsin Harris is only going to win there by maximum 0.8, but not even there maybe. So, yeah. And so now let's move on to Michigan. Michigan is probably Michigan's the most liberal state of the blue wall. That's a fact. And Kamala won there, like, every single time except for 2016, because, yeah, it's blue wall. And the polls in Michigan do put Michigan as actually being more competitive than Wisconsin, which I severely disagree. Michigan is probably already I want to disagree. I wouldn't be shocked if Michigan went to likely. I wouldn't be shocked if Michigan went to likely. This is what I'm talking about. You can't trust these polls that much. I mean, sometimes it was up. There was even a time that Trump was winning there, which is surprising. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think Harris will still win there by at least 1.5 points. And now we're going to go to Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is probably the most competitive state. I don't think it's going to be the most competitive state, but one of them. And Pennsylvania, if you win Pennsylvania, you basically already won the election. Yes. You don't really need the other ones. If you just win Pennsylvania, you basically already won. Except if you only win it. That would be weird. So, Pennsylvania, it's a pretty tight state. I think it's like 1 point ahead there in the polls. Yeah, 1.2. The most recent polls, again, from this right-leaning company, is 2 points. The first one that's not right-leaning, it's putting Trump +1. And it's pretty competitive. As you can see, Harris does hold a slim advantage of only 0.8 in these polls. So we're going to place Pennsylvania. Wait a minute, is it 0.8? 0.5. Okay. So Pennsylvania is going to be tilt Democrat, which puts Harris in the 270 mark. But we still have 3 states left, so we're going to color them up. Alright, let's do Georgia. Georgia, for a lot of time, I didn't even consider Georgia a swing state. But now I do, because it's like pretty competitive in the moment. And Georgia is a reliably red state, voting for Republicans in almost every single election ever since 1992 until 2020. That Georgia did a surprise flip, No one expected this, and Georgia is, I think, was the most competitive state of 2020. And it was such a low margin that it wouldn't take long. It wouldn't take too much for Trump to win it back. And that's exactly what I think it will happen. In my last prediction, I think I put it Georgia as a Democrat state because it used to be in the polls, because I thought the polls were, I used to think that the polls were statistics, whatever. I used to think polls were like right, but then I learned that it's actually very wrong in some cases, because it actually, Harris used to be up, and Harris is actually up again in here. And I disagree with this. I think in the 538 forecast, let me check. Yeah, in the 538 forecast, Trump is winning there. So we're gonna put Georgia as tilt Republican, that I think Trump will win there by 0.4 maybe. In Nevada is a reliably blue state that hasn't voted Republican ever since 2004, and it has voted Democrat in the past 4 elections. Nevada, even though Harris only wins 2 counties there most of the times, these counties are the most populous counties. So I think Nevada will go to the Democrats by a little, maybe even by 0.2. Let's check the polls again. Nevada, 0.7, and almost, plus 10? Okay, I think that's too much. Every single poll, except for this one, Insider Advantage, is putting Nevada as Democrat. I do think that the 10 plus poll is kind of wrong. I don't know what that means. I think Nevada will be Democrat by maybe even 0.3. Now we got Arizona. I believe Arizona is going to be the most competitive state in this election. It's not that much. It's not that many electoral votes. It's only 11 compared to everyone else, which is kind of like 16, 19, 15. And let's check them. So 2020, Arizona went to the Democrats. I think it was the 3rd most competitive state by only 2nd maybe. Only 0.3. So, and in the polls, Harris is winning there by 0.2, and Trump was actually winning there by more than 2 points, which is very surprising, and it's actually kind of cool that Harris was able to make such a strong lead in there in only like 1 month. But there's a problem. So Arizona has actually been shifting to the right in the past couple weeks. As you can see in the 538 forecast, it's currently a tie, and sometimes in sometimes in the 538 model, Arizona was actually red in a couple of times. So I do believe I'm gonna put Arizona as currently tilt red. I do think Trump will win there by at least 0.1. So here is my September map, September 3rd, Tuesday. And here it is. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you next time.